yesterday here in Fort Dodge. The accident happened around 1:30 yesterday afternoon at the intersection of Triton Plaza and Kenyon Road. Reports say a Chevy Cruze was turning right at the light at the intersection and was hit by a transportation specialist limited semi-truck. The driver of the truck told Fort Dodge police the light was yellow on his side. The truck driver was cited by police. There were no injuries reported in the crash. The Broadband Communications Survey has been going on here in Fort Dodge. City Manager David Feerick says the city has received over 600 completed broadband surveys, but the survey is still ongoing.
Survey for broadband is still out there on our Facebook page, City of Fort Dodge, Iowa. People can complete the survey about how they feel about their current broadband, their telephone, also their video provider, and what their interests are. And we'd love to have more results. We already got 610 surveys completed, which is a good number.
Feerick says that there's more to the survey than just feedback from Fort Dodge residents.
And in addition to that survey, we can also run a test on the speed you're getting at your home. So
the survey and testing data is designed to give the city and consultants that they've hired information they need as they move forward exploring the idea of improving upon broadband connectivity. 2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration fee. 2 roads here in Webster County will be undergoing construction. The first area is P56 Nelson Avenue from the Fort Dodge city limits to 120th Street and C56 120th Street between Nelson Avenue and Highway 169. Traffic on both of those roads will be restricted down to 1 lane due to the repaving of those sections of road. The work is expected to be ongoing for the next 6 weeks. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. We'll see mostly sunny skies this afternoon with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the north of 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies, a low near 55. By Friday, sunshine, a high around 81 degrees. Saturday, a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms here late. Increasing cloud cover, a high of 85. Sunday, slight chance for rain and storms, a high of 83. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 75.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about, and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD KVFD.
If you don't listen to him, you suck.
He's sneaky, but he's right.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. What a perfect day. Why are we in the studio? I have no idea at all. Not sucking today is Dennis Ploutz. Way to go, Dennis. And Keenan Dorn, who's been with us before. How you doing over there, Keaton?
I'm doing good. Just
all right.
Wrapping up for the summer with my internship, so just kind of looking forward to everything. Kind of not like wrapping down. It's nice.
Ramping it down. Huh?
Yeah, looking forward to getting back to school. That's for sure.
And you're at K-State?
University of Kansas. That's a close one.
That's a close one. I was in the same state. I keep telling Nevin Mulholland, who's a big K-State guy, that I can't tell the difference in the two universities. But anyway, I saw your picture in the paper not long ago. That wasn't a mugshot. You didn't do something wrong, did you?
No. Well, there's. I did get a speeding ticket the other day.
A speeding ticket.
So that might have been it. It wasn't a mugshot, but there was a speeding ticket in the back of the paper that you might have saw.
But I thought there was a picture of you for some accomplishment, or you had done something. Yeah, I wasn't really referring to the.
No, it's all good.
That's the worst you ever did.
Yeah.
You'll be fine in this town.
So recently I took a trip down to Houston for my fraternity.
That's it.
And I was actually elected to serve on the National Board of Directors.
Look out!
So it's it's the largest fraternity nationwide. SIGEP is what it's called. So we got a lot of board meetings that I'm preparing for. So it's kind of shifting focus from just being a student and taking on the role of leadership in higher ed at a bigger pace. So.
Well, good for you. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's a select group, I know. So good for you.
It's an awesome
guy from Fort Dodge on the board like that.
Absolutely. It was nice. There was actually Brian Peterson. He was he was also part of the fraternity that I'm in, so he was kind of helpful in the process.
You're talking about Brian out of Blue Ribbon?
Yep, Brian out of Blue Ribbon.
Oh, really?
Yep, so he was part of the fraternity. He actually worked on the headquarters staff for a while, so he kind of helped me out along the way. So ironically enough that in our community like us, you have two guys that are part of the same fraternity and kind of going along similar paths. So.
I'll have to ask him about that tomorrow. We'll be in Des Moines at the State Fair tomorrow on behalf of Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, and Brian is receiving his certificate of completion for a 10-week course that Goldman Sachs, the great capitalist giant, has. They have put together a program and financing for small businesses in rural areas all across the country. I don't know if you knew about this. Brian explained it in some detail yesterday. But, Goldman Sachs is encouraging small businesses, giving them a way forward, a plan, the things that they need to do financially, even psychologically. All those things come into play. And I was very impressed that Goldman Sachs did it. And Brian made an application, and it was accepted, of course, and there were a lot of applicants to the program, and Brian was one of the people selected. So he'll get a I don't know if it's how you would describe it, but he has completed the course, and those who have completed the course in Iowa will be recognized tomorrow at the Iowa State Fair. So that's really cool. Cool.
I think there's a program with the governor and other folks.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
I also know of at least 3 from Fort Dodge that are graduating in that program.
Really?
Todd McCubbin.
Brian mentioned him.
And Cheryl O'Hearn is another.
Cheryl, Brian mentioned both those folks,
It's awesome that we have those members in our community to just kind of be on the right foot and be on the cutting edge.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. That's wonderful, and of course Goldman Sachs has gotten kind of a reputation in recent years, but what they're doing with this effort is outstanding and potentially very beneficial for states like Iowa, Kansas, the Midwest, a lot in Nebraska, states that have a huge agricultural presence, of course, but not a lot of people. No, we don't. We have 3 million people in Iowa and 30 million hogs. Yeah, we do.
And more chickens.
Yeah, and more chickens. God, more chickens than we'd ever know about, And you get out of Kansas City and head west in Kansas, man, and it's a big empty,
Absolutely.
Well, you make a good point, though, and it's a nice segue. I told Keaton I'd keep my mouth quiet so you could talk to him today. But
all right.
But the reason he's here is he's done a week from tomorrow.
Done.
And
you have to get a real job now, Keaton?
No, he's done with our internship.
I know he's done with his.
They're kicking me out of the office.
Kicked out of the office, has to get a real job, go back to school. What a huge bummer.
Well, he's our only 2-time intern. He did it last summer, did it this summer, and then he actually filled in interning over the Christmas holidays. And that's because he's done such a good job, and he is a good representative of Fort Dodge and Webster County. So it's been tremendous having him. He's done a lot for us.
Well, that's a great record there, Keaton. Did one of the girls over there catch your eye, or what? Do you keep coming back?
No. It just seems like a lot of times either someone's kind of stepping out for a little while, and I'm kind of asked to step into some new roles and responsibilities, or working on specific projects and kind of cleaning up some things and looking forward to setting the bench for some upcoming things that we have going on. So when I was back in December, I've been doing some graphic design work, and it's kind of been a longer poster is kind of what we're doing. So it's called Hands at Work. So we're in the process of kind of restarting the whole graphic design elements behind that, and that's been kind of gathering and collecting photos from a lot of members in the community, just getting their hands at work. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But I've also done some other things that have been some longer term projects. So just recently, we were doing a market research study on employment needs, and that's coming to a close. I believe the deadline for that is the 10th, which is Saturday, right? Yeah. So
market research on employment, will that be available to the public? I'm always interested in those things.
I'm not 100% sure what we want to do with it quite yet. We're just kind of looking at determining kind of what employees are looking for and why they chose to come to Fort Dodge.
Employees are looking for?
So it's going to be, I think, mainly geared towards the employers, but the goal is to kind of understand what employees are looking at, what they value, and kind of share that with people, and to determine here's what we're lacking, here's what we're excelling in, and here's kind of the direction that we should head.
Well, give us a couple of snapshots from that report. I mean, what are employees looking for?
Yeah, so one thing that we kind of have noticed a lot is really that whole work-life balance. I think we've mentioned a little bit before, and especially in a community our size, having that work-life balance is super important. It's not just about what you do in your 40-hour work week. It's about what you do outside of that time, whether it's spending time with your family or spending time with your kids, having opportunities to kind of learn, grow, and play. And our community certainly offers those. A community our size, we're excelling in a lot of areas that other communities of our size aren't. For example, our arts program is out of this world. They're doing.
We have some very committed people over there.
Absolutely, but it seems like there's always something to do in this community, and you just got to kind of look at all the opportunities and take them all in. So that's one thing that's awesome about our community. And I think from an employment standpoint, that's super awesome to know that you're stepping into a community that's willing to kind of all come together. We really are a community. We're not just a city. We're not just a town. We're a community. We all have very similar interests in the sense that we're all of this region. We all have a similar mindset of what it means to be from this area, and we all have similar values. So I think that's super important. And I think when the survey is kind of being distributed currently to individuals who have transferred into the region from outside of the area, just to kind of see like why did you choose Fort Dodge? Why did you choose the area and the region? And just to see like from the outside perspective, because sometimes we tend to kind of focus a little bit more on people that have kind of been here maybe when we talk about some things, and this is kind of to open up our perspective and horizons about some ideas and options for outsiders coming into the community. So that's what we're looking at.
Well, belong to a similar culture. That's interesting. Does that mean here in Webster County you're either Catholic Lutheran or you're in a cult? That's the culture, I think. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. Have any employers had seen this report or?
So it's still live right now. So we're still in the process.
Okay.
So the data we're given right now is pretty raw in the sense that we haven't been able to come to any conclusions. Just kind of preliminary drawings, what we're looking at right now. But we're kind of wrapping things up by the end of the week with that. And we'll come back and hit the ground running is kind of what comes next. What do we need to do from that? And that kind of all stemmed from an idea with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, where they had the opportunity to rent out a space in New York City. So they rented out an office space in New York City, and they were just it was a real estate space is what it was, and they kind of pulled people in off the streets, and they said, well, you can get X amount of square feet and this much land, and this is the cost of living. Here's how much it costs. It's super close to all these arts and festivals, things like that. And it was for the whole state. They looked at real estate across the state, and these people from New York City were like, where do I sign up? How do I get this deal?
Sure, yeah.
And just because they're so kind of focused on the idea of that big city lifestyle, they tend to kind of lose focus of what it means to kind of come from a community in Iowa, and even more specifically in Webster County, where we're fortunate enough with like low cost of living, and from the outside looking in, that's one of our biggest strengths. So those individuals in New York City were like, how do I sign up? And then it was kind of like an episode of Pranked, I guess you could say, where the real estate agent, who's an actor, kind of was like, oh yeah, these aren't in New York City, these are out in Iowa. Did you ever think, like, when you thought of Iowa, when you thought of these specific areas, what were your thoughts, and kind of just the reflection process along that. So it was awesome to see kind of what their direction was with that.
Well, if you ask some people about Iowa, a large percentage will still tell you, is that where you grow the potatoes? They do, really. I mean, frankly, I don't know what they grow in Idaho. It's a beautiful state. I've been to Idaho, but it's amazing on the coast that what they call flyover country in some places. There's a lot of misunderstanding. Yes, Dennis.
But what Keaton was describing, the spoof he described, is a result of a survey that the state did earlier, asking people what it would take to bring them to Iowa. Then they developed it. And what we're doing is using the same company the state used, and we're drilling down further, but for Fort Dodge, and trying to generate more information that could be used to help employers bring people here.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Keaton Dornath, Dennis Ploutz are our guests at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. They've come over from the Growth Alliance today. Keaton is wrapping it up as far as an intern at the Growth Alliance. We established, I think, yesterday that Councilman Menke was Lydia Scher's lackey, which I thought that was appropriate. You weren't a lackey of Lydia's, were you, Keaton?
No.
Or were you?
No.
It's okay. It's okay. Lydia's a powerful person.
Lydia, I love Lydia. She's awesome. I had the opportunity to work with her when she stepped back, and I came back over my Christmas break. It was when Dennis had said that I stepped back around. I had the opportunity to work with her. She's doing great things. She's actually setting up for Market on Central right now, so she's getting prepared for that. So just as a reminder to those listening today, that'll be from 4:30 to 7:30 tonight. We have our highest number of vendors are going to be out tonight. So we have everything from pony rides to snow cones, ice cream,
I'll tell you what, Keaton, if you go on a pony ride, I'll go on one too.
I don't know.
Of course, I may crush the pony.
Me too. So it should be a good
What
market.
are some of the other vendors that you have?
So yeah, we have snow cones coming in. We have ice cream. So we have a lot of food, and we also have a lot of art. So that's kind of our big thing this year is just really the food and the art. And unfortunately, during our last market, we had some weather kind of take a toll on the market.
We did, but I got down there and got my zucchini bread from the ladies from Gowrie anyway.
Yeah, I believe they'll be there tonight as well. So it should be a pretty good market, like I said. So if you have the opportunity to stop down on Central tonight, you'll see a lot of things going on, and hopefully you can check out some vendors and get things going that way.
I think it's the nicest weather of each of the
I
markets.
look forward to it.
Absolutely.
I certainly look forward to it. And let's not forget that the county supervisors will be in the lobby of the county courthouse tonight, and they'll be talking about what we're going to do with the clock tower and the proposals for the clock tower. They have convinced me that we need to do something with it. Well, we need to renovate that clock tower, and it's going to cost some money. It's going to cost a lot of money. But the idea that we should just tear it off or build a new building to house county offices is unacceptable to me. So, it will be a wonderful thing when we get that project completed, and the supervisors are making a real effort to discuss it and inform the public, and I think that's a terrific idea. We had a real problem here in Fort Dodge in the past with not explaining proposals correctly, and that just asks for rumors to get started, and resistance based on money spent. If all you hear is, we're going to spend money, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to spend money. They want to get something in return. And the supervisors, and Mark Campbell and Keith will be there, and they're really good at explaining what we're going to get for the money.
I believe with that open house, or I believe with tonight, it's more of an open house format in the sense that you can kind of stop in,
right,
just with all those individuals that'll be down there for Market on Central, just kind of stopping in. I believe you're more than welcome to kind of stop into the county office and just kind of ask questions, and I think they'll be happy to answer and listen to what you have to say, and they're really looking for a high turnout with that as well.
Yeah, yeah, and that'll be really good. That'll be please, I hope we can get a big turnout in the county courthouse tonight for, as Keaton said, it's kind of come and go type of thing, but let's at least find out about this, because it's an important thing for our city. It's part of the landscape of our city. If you look at a picture of Fort Dodge from 100 years ago, there's that clock tower.
I think that clock tower is on more literature, mailings, pictures than any other landmark I can think about.
Yeah, we're losing a big one. Corpus Christi Church which was built in 1856. It's sliding down the hill. Nevin Mulholland, some folks, part of the St. Edmunds group. That was your old school, wasn't it? Didn't you go to St. Edmunds?
I did not go to St. Edmunds. I went to Fort Dodge Senior High.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Anyway, the old Corpus Christi Church, which has also been part of our skyline for a long, long time, is going away. So it's good to know that the clock tower will still be there. Gosh, we lost the Eilers. You guys of our generation, Denny, remember the Eilers was part of the downtown forever and ever. You come into town and there it was,
I could name some more too, but then people get tired of listening to me and you.
That's right. But you come in, once they built Highway 169 and the bridge into town, the guys of Denny and I's father's generation, they would describe the old way into Fort Dodge, and that would be down, taking a left right there at the Starlight as you're heading south and coming in down by Hormel. That was the real way in Fort Dodge. But then the Highway 169 was built and the bridge was built, and when you came into town that way, headed straight east, there was Eilers, the Eilers Hotel. But
I found some
down.
pictures in my drawer the other day, which I gave to Vicki Reek, who has a before and after program she does with various groups.
Mm-hmm.
What was this? And then she'll show what it is now. Anyway, everybody knows where Hormel's was.
Yeah.
But do you know what was just on the other side of Soldier Creek from Hormel's?
The other side, we're not talking about
south.
South?
Mm-hmm.
The other side south. No. That wasn't the can. The can factory was right next door.
That building is still there.
Okay.
For AML Riverside. But it was the Cargill plant.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I found a big picture with Cargill written on the side of it, and that was part of the cleanup we did years ago.
Wow. I don't remember the old Royal 400, but I guess that must have been quite the deal.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I was going to throw out, just because you're interested, I think Keaton was a old Fort Dodge High wrestler, right?
I did wrestle back when I was in high school.
Were you any good?
I was pretty good, I guess. Yeah.
Did you go to state?
I did. I made it to state my senior year.
All right.
So yeah, that was an accomplishment.
Did you place? Or?
I didn't place. I actually got beat out right before the placing round, but it's all good.
I was a wrestler too, and I saw the lights plenty of times. I know if I went to state, it's because I was in town with my mom shopping. I'll tell you.
Well, I throw that out. He was one of the. Well, you wouldn't be an early forerunner of the great wrestling programs we have here, but
yeah. So I graduated in 2017, so I had the opportunity to wrestle with some other guys who are doing great things with wrestling.
Yeah, well, you were with Brody Teskey and some of those guys.
Absolutely, they're doing great things now. So.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'm sorry they're not doing it for Iowa.
So, if you had the chance, would you have gone to Iowa State, Iowa, or Penn State?
I probably wouldn't have looked into wrestling past high school. Just wasn't ever for me. Just kind of, I knew that I wanted to go. Career way. I wanted to go into business. So that's
participation in sports is educational. I don't care if it's basketball, football, swimming. As long as you're out there, sports will teach you about life. AM 1400 KVFD. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah. Did you say you were for replacing the clock tower, fixing it up?
I did not say that. I said I was for restoring the clock tower. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hear your question well. No, I am for restoring the clock tower, absolutely.
A few months ago, you said you were for not doing it. It costs too much.
That was my initial reaction. I was asking the supervisors if it wouldn't be better just to build another building somewhere. But after considerable thought, you remember what I said better than I do. You know that? No, I've come around to the idea that we have to replace that clock tower. When
if you say you're going to knock it down, build a new building, you just as well start at Central Avenue and go up to 12th Avenue and level the whole work.
Oh, you're just looking for an argument, aren't you?
Well, if you can't save one building, why save any of them?
Where is your house anyway? All right, well, thanks for the call. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Our guest, Keaton Dorneth, Denny Plouts. Yes, you have something else, Denny?
Nope.
All right. Remember, Market on Central is tonight. We'll see you there. The news is coming up at AM 1400 KVFD.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
Grandma, this card asks, when did you get a TV and what was your favorite show?
I think around 1950 they had a Fort Dodge TV station that had a local barn dance show every Saturday night. Oh, honey, it was so much fun. They'd play instruments, we would sing and dance.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. A two-vehicle accident that involved a semi-truck occurred yesterday here in Fort Dodge. The accident happened around 1:30 yesterday afternoon at the intersection of Triton Plaza and Kenyon Road. Reports say a Chevy Cruze was turning right at the light at the intersection and was hit by a transportation specialist limited semi-truck. The driver of the truck told Fort Dodge police the light was yellow on his side. The truck driver was cited by police. There were no injuries reported in the crash. The Broadband Communications Survey has been going on here in Fort Dodge. City Manager David Feerick says the city has received over 600 completed broadband surveys, but the survey is still ongoing.
Survey for broadband is still out there on our Facebook page, City of Fort Dodge, Iowa. People can complete the survey about how they feel about their current broadband, their telephone, also their video provider, and what their interests are. And we'd love to have more results. We already got 610 surveys completed, which is a good number.
Feerick says that there's more to the survey than just feedback from Fort Dodge residents.
And in addition to that survey, we can also run a test on the speed you're getting at your home. So
the survey and testing data is designed to give the city and consultants that they've hired information they need as they move forward exploring the idea of improving upon broadband connectivity. 2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. as P56 Nelson Avenue from the Fort Dodge city limits to 120th Street and C56 120th Street between Nelson Avenue and Highway 169. Traffic on both of those roads will be restricted down to one lane due to the repaving of those sections of road. The work is expected to be ongoing for the next 6 weeks. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 2:34. Let's take a quick look at the weather. It couldn't be better, really. I'm happy to say that. Sunny with a high of 78 today. Right now, 77. Overnight, mostly clear with a low of 55. 55 sounds like we're getting into fall, doesn't it? Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 81. Very calm air. On Saturday, chance of rain early in the morning. Otherwise, sunny with a high of 85 degrees. Sunday, slight chance of rain. Sunny with a high of 83. Monday, a chance of rain. Sunny with a high of 80. On Tuesday, sunny with a high of 81. Wednesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 78. Right now, 77 degrees at AM 1400. KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. With a look at the closing market report, here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 4.5 at 4.11. December up 4 1/4 at 4.18 1/4. March corn up 4 3/4 to 4.28 1/2. May up 4 3/4 at 4.33 1/4. August soybeans up 16 1/4 at 8.65. September up 16 1/4 to 8.70 1/4. November beans up 16 1/4 at 8.83. January up 15 3/4 at 8.96. Wheat closed up 10 1/4 cents at 4.98 1/2. Soybean meal up 1.80 a ton at 2.94.80. August live cattle up 35 cents at 107.95. October up 30 at 106.75. August feeders up 30 cents at 139.85. September up 50 cents at 139.87. August lean hogs closed down 37 cents at 77.35, and October lean hogs up 102 at 67.87. I'm Dwayne Murley.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. 236 and 77 degrees. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Again, all of us here at Alpha Media, and certainly me personally, want to extend our deepest sympathy to the family of Patricia Bemrick. She's Greg Bemrick's mother, Mayor Bemrick's grandmother. Patricia Bemrick's funeral is tomorrow morning at 10:30 at Corpus Christi Church. Visitation today from 4 to 7 here in town. Again, Patricia Bemrick, 86 years old, has passed away. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. 237, 77 degrees at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. David Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project is coming up.
Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media present our Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride Saturday, August 10th. Be at Fort Dodge Ford between 9 and 10:30 to register. Then it's kickstands up for 150 miles of wide-open fun on the road. Our Hogs for Heroes stops include the Co-op Bar and Grill in Pomeroy, River Valley Winery in Humboldt, Johnny's Bar and Grill in Wesley, the Blue Moose Saloon in Renwick, Ernie's Harley-Davidson in Algona, and Miller's Landing in Humboldt, where you can listen to live music, eat great food, and bid on your favorite items in the silent auction. Entry fee is just $15 a rider or $25 a couple. All proceeds go to the Brushy Creek Honor Flight. Get a free Hogs for Heroes t-shirt while supplies last. Pre-register until August 8th at yourfortdodge.com to reserve your spot and t-shirt. This special event is sponsored in part by the Western Edge in Humboldt, Iowa Outdoor Store, Hardware and Rental, Fort Dodge, Riddle's Jewelry, Fort Dodge, and Zinnel Roofing, Humboldt. Fire up your bike, your car, your truck, even your minivan for the Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride, hosted by Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media. We ride so they can fly.
Farming's in your blood. It's in your roots. It's what you've always done, and it's what you'll always do. Give it your best, and yield even better. So the last thing you need is corn rootworm inflicting its worst damage where it counts the most. Because if there's one thing you've learned season after season, it's the yield goes back to the roots, which is why you only trust Smart Stacks technology to protect the foundation of your yield from corn rootworm, as well as a broad range of above-ground pests. Smart Stacks technology is proven on over 100 million acres. See how it compares with all your trade options at Genuity.com/protection. Smart Stacks technology. Yield goes back to your roots. Always read and follow IRM, grain marketing, and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions. Individual results may vary.
If you're into cars or just want to learn a thing or two, tune in every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 for the End of the Hood Car Show on AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
That's right. That's where we're at. YouTube, by the way, 1400 KVFD. Tune into YouTube, 1400 KVFD, and you will see, as well as hear, what happens in the studio, and I know you want to do that. What a day we're having. Just an absolutely gorgeous day here in Fort Dodge and across the state, as a matter of fact. Just a gorgeous day. And here to really spoil it for us is David, the Sky is Falling Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project. How you doing, David?
Well, that's probably the best intro you've had of me, I can remember.
David, we're all going to die. Osterberg is on the air with us, ladies and gentlemen. The Iowa Policy Project is a group in Iowa City co-founded by The Sky is Falling here. The Iowa Policy Project is dedicated to research-backed information that they hope will affect public policy. And really, the more I see politics and politicians these days, the more I understand that they're all suffering from deep mental illness, and they live in their own bizarro world. I don't know. But David, of course, is a water quality expert. Some people still mention to me that David, when they hear David on the air, is that he, when he was running for the U.S. Senate against Chuck Grassley, he didn't have the budget, of course, that Chuck Grassley did as far as advertising. So he drew attention to his causes by paddling a canoe around the polluted rivers and streams of Iowa. So you may have lost, David, but you made an impression. And apparently not enough of impression.
Not enough, but yes.
to motivate people to action. But if the Democratic Party would stop acting so crazy about a number of issues, and perhaps let Jay Inslee, who is the former governor, I believe, of your old state, or is he the current governor?
Yeah, current governor.
Current governor. Inslee's whole thing is climate change. And I have something on my Facebook page, and my Facebook page is AM 1400 KVFD. And it's something that David or Mike Owen sent me. And it's a rather graphic piece, and it's entitled Across the U.S., Eruptions of Toxic Algae Plague Lakes, Threatening Drinking Water and Recreation, which is why I introduced David as I did. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, but we do have a problem. Where is this algae coming from?
It's coming mainly from farm fields.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
yeah, I mean, that's where it's coming from. I mean, I'm not casting aspersions on agriculture when I say these are the facts. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, and it's all the fertilizer and chemicals primarily, isn't it?
It is. And it's phosphorus and nitrogen. Usually we talk about nitrates. That's what the main problem for the Gulf, the huge hypoxic zone. Remember? You're
right. Preaching to the choir here. You and I have been talking about this for years and years.
Yeah.
But of course, repetition is the mother of learning, so we need to talk about it over and over again.
I think we do. And for phosphorus, though, is big when it comes to cyanobacteria. Blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, both of those terms. And it's a certain toxin produced by some of them that is the problem.
It's a certain toxic produced by some of them?
Some of them. So just when you see that, we think we have an outbreak of blue-green algae, that does not tell you that automatically we have those toxins. High probability, but not for sure. So it's a little more complicated. There's not that makes a test for them a little harder. But you can test directly for the toxin, usually mycotoxin. And we do that at beaches in the state of Iowa, but we do it with the wrong number. We use a number that's much too high. And we've talked about this. This is not a report from the Iowa Policy Project that I'm talking about. It's the Environmental Working Group. And they put out very good research. This I just read over theirs a couple times, and it's very similar to what we did a year ago, the Iowa Policy Project did. 3 weeks after we released ours, Greenfield, Iowa lost its water supply because of cyanotoxins. So I don't know, now that they put out a report, if 3 weeks from now another Iowa city will lose its water supply for a week. But it could, because the stuff is there. It is dangerous. There's no question about it. Long-term effects are really, really pretty mean, including, toxins that affect your brain. But immediately affected could be your dog, and your dog could die.
Well, nobody wants a death penalty for their dog.
And nobody wants to kill nice dogs, that's
No,
for sure.
they don't. No, there's a pit bull in my neighborhood that could eat it, as far as I'm concerned. But, we won't get bogged down in those sorts of details.
Not.
Now,
But I mean, it's only to say that there's no question about the virulence of this critter. It's natural in that sense. So it's not, the toxin is not somehow created in an evil lab someplace. The toxin is natural, but nature can produce some pretty tough things out there.
I want to, again, direct you to my Facebook page, not because I'm trying to get the clicks necessarily. Clicks really don't do me any good since I don't monetize the page, but I want you to go there so you can see a satellite view of Lake Okeechobee. Oh, God, I always screw it.
Okeechobee, yeah.
Thank you very much. I've actually been there a couple of times. Yes,
yeah, right.
I'm a traveled man. I've traveled to Florida and actually seen this lake, and it's a satellite view that shows how deeply choked with algae this lake is in Florida. I mean, Florida is a state of lakes, and not only is it a what am I trying to say, an isthmus, but it has a number of lakes. I think Gainesville and Lakeland, Florida, of course, they're cities that were built around lakes. They're very beautiful cities, as a matter of fact. But David, are you still there?
I'm still there, and I was just thinking when you talked about how many lakes there are, wouldn't take much more than about 4 or 5 feet of climate change-related sea level rise to have Florida not be a peninsula anymore. It would then be an island.
Yeah, well, they're worried about that in the Outer Banks of North Carolina right now.
Yeah.
I spent a little time. In fact, I worked at a radio station just right near Kitty Hawk. I could see the monument in the Kitty Hawk Monument commemorating the Wright brothers' accomplishment in discovering a flight. And the ocean, my radio station was right there. I could see them both at the same time. Yeah, there is real concern that the Outer Banks in 20 years will be underwater, and that is a very popular resort area for especially people from the New York, Boston area. Yeah, that's a little disturbing.
Well, it's all disturbing, and you know, getting back to the whole sky is falling, you got to look at things and see. You know, we gave a warning a year ago, and 3 weeks after, as I said, Greenfield, Iowa lost its water supply to cyanotoxins. These are good warnings. I'm glad the Environmental Working Group is bringing this up again. But the point is, there are things you can do about this one, and we're just not doing it. I mean, the EPA forces our water systems to test for a number of pollutants. They're forced to do that. And then we've also forced them to put every year a report to all the users. I get it from the city of Mount Vernon. They have to once a year say, this is how we're doing, if we're high or low on these contaminants. We're generally really very good because the water comes from 300 feet down. But those are all requirements. For cyanotoxins, notwithstanding how dangerous they are, there is not a requirement. They're thinking about it. Right now it's on a list called the Contaminant Candidate List, but it's been on there for several years, and I don't know when they're going to get to that, to say your water supply needs to test for it, because I think they do.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. David Osterberg is our guest with the Iowa Policy Project.
Yeah, let me modify what I just said. If it's the surface water supply, again, I'm not sure the extra expense of testing Mount Vernon's would make all that much sense, or any other groundwater system. But boy, the big cities in Iowa all get their water from surface water.
Sure. Yeah.
Mississippi River, Des Moines River, they really ought to be testing.
Our friend Bill Horan, who I haven't seen for a while, Bill kind of got into being retired, but he always argued with you. In fact, he was one of your more ardent listeners there for a time. And Bill Horan and Greg Hora both came in here once to debate with David Osterberg and Mike Owen concerning water quality. And the crux of it is that the way we farm in Iowa would have to undergo drastic changes. changes that the big ag corporations here in Iowa and the big ag groups here in Iowa don't want to do. They don't think it's necessary. What is here? I'm gonna put it to you this way. What is their argument in response to what we're seeing here from the Environmental Working Group?
It's not that big a deal. That's what their argument would have to be,
Yeah.
because there's no question about the numbers. And what they've been saying for a while, this is mainly Farm Bureau, is, we have this standard, 10 parts per million for nitrates. Well, really, you ought to kick it up to 20 and we wouldn't have as many problems.
Mm-hmm.
And our data then shows that, if you want to change it, you probably ought to bring it down to 5, because there's certain bowel cancers and in generally postmenopausal women, that's where you have the research that's done. It's probably everybody, but at least people, older women. And also birth defects happen at levels of 5 parts per million. So, yeah, we ought to be, that's their argument would be, just ignore it. Ours would be, if you really decided to do some changes in farming, I'm not sure that it would hurt the individual producer that much. If you were required to have 10% of your land put into these buffer strips that Iowa State University has developed that really seem to work, really keep nitrates out of the water system, you'd have less corn, and therefore the price would go up, and you're not sure if you wouldn't make more money. People who wouldn't make more money, fertilizer producers, and that's why it's a non-starter.
Yeah, there is an argument whether these, from their point of view, from the ag groups and farmers in general, that the nitrate level, and this is what they were so mad at Bill down there. I'm sorry, the Des Moines Waterworks head who passed away recently.
Yeah, right.
They were very angry with him.
Yes.
Bill, what was Bill's last name? Gosh, it's
God,
terrible.
I mean, I'm doing the same thing you are.
I can see him right in front of me,
Me
for
too.
God's sake.
Great
But anyway, they were very angry with him when he filed suit against 3 counties in Iowa. I thought it was the 3 counties they sued was a little on the mean-spirited side there, I thought. But their contention is that Bill, oh, for God's sake. Stowe, God. Thank you very much. My God. Between the two of us, we have about 125 years worth of brains are working here. And it's just not operating at peak capacity anymore. Yeah, they were mad at Bill because Bill claimed that the nitrates were a problem, and Des Moines was spending a lot of money taking care of the problems of Sac, Buena Vista, and Calhoun County. And the lawsuit was eventually dismissed. And Bill tragically died, really, I consider, right in the prime of life. He had rapidly advancing brain cancer, and it killed him really fast.
Really fast, yeah.
Just shocking. But all that aside, there are too many people and too many scientists saying that we need to do something. So if you had your way there, you're king for a day, David. And what would you tell agriculture to do if you could?
I would reduce inputs. I would do that, and which also saves.
By inputs, are you talking about fertilizer?
Yeah, I would.
How about?
And I think that one of the ways would be just whatever Iowa State standard is, and I think they recommend about 150, 160 pounds per acre. That's what you could put on, and. Would you decrease the total amount of corn coming out of Iowa? Yes, you would, and which might raise prices by enough to make up for what you didn't put on, what you saved. So you save on inputs, and you get a higher price for what you're putting out. Now, that I don't know. I've not done that study, but I'd say that it's not a crazy idea. And if you were doing things which caused less pollution to our rivers, you would also be doing things that might raise the price of corn.
Well, that's always an attractive proposition.
Well, I think it would be. And again, so you have to look at agriculture. I'm tired of looking at just agriculture. I think you have a number of different parts of it. You have the people who are sitting on that, that plow or that combine, but you also have the input people. And I'd go, the people who would really suffer by the manufacturers of the fertilizer, not the sellers. I mean, the guy in Solon, Iowa, who sells fertilizer to you also sells the services to help you be a better farmer. Less fertilizer, more of those services. I'm not sure what the effect on the bottom line of that kind of firm would be. You'd know what it would be for a big fertilizer company, and that is where the problem is. I think if you could divide up agriculture, again, when you look at the input suppliers, they're monopolizing all the time. So it's what used to have two companies, and now you have one. They're the ones that are selling you the seed. They're the ones that are selling you the chemicals. They're the ones that are doing all of those inputs that you have to pay so much for. They're also on the other end the ones that are buying it. But I think that if you divide up agriculture, I'm not sure that the producer is on the other side of a whole lot of environmental better environmental things that should happen. They hate the idea of regulation, but in this case, I think regulation wouldn't hurt.
Maybe I've asked you this before, but my God, up here, especially in this part of the state, not so much down by the People's Republic of Johnson County.
Right.
But in this part of the state, we have millions and millions of chickens and hogs. I mean, we have, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a hog confinement building here. I'm asking if manure isn't an acceptable fertilizer.
It is. No, I think manure, and a lot of people say manure has a lot of things in it that commercial fertilizer doesn't. But you want but the same thing. You want to make sure that you limit the amount that goes on. And what you don't want to do, and this is a great study by Jones who's at the University of Iowa. In western Iowa, it seems that you find where a lot of manure is going, especially out of Lyon County, those producers tend to also put a fair amount of commercial fertilizer on. If they did just manure without the commercial fertilizer, things might be better.
Well, who did that study?
A guy named Chris Jones. And it's a very nice study on just how contaminated the Missouri River and why we are responsible so much of the nitrate in that river. And we are. Iowa, a different study also by Jones found that 55% of the nitrate in the whole Missouri River system comes out of Iowa, even though it's just a little sliver of Iowa that sends our rivers there.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, Nishnabotna, the Sioux, the Little Sioux, those are the rivers, not the big rivers in Iowa that discharge there. But there's an awful lot, and his study is really good because what he found is that where you find a lot of manure, you find a lot of contamination, but you wouldn't necessarily have to if you cut back on the commercial fertilizer also.
You know, there was a class that I wish I could take online that offered that environmental people and scientists in general offered to teach journalists and people in the radio business how to explain research and on the air, because the real trick is not to put all this out there. The real trick is to make it understandable to somebody who's just getting on with their life, and otherwise we need to get past the time when people speak in headlines. Like Rush. Rush has had a great run, 30 years. He's been out there and he's put out a lot of ideas from his point of view. But we have MSNBC now too, and they're the same way. They say all kinds of wild things over there. But somehow we have to get past those shouters and start discussing the real issues from some point of knowledge that we can all share. This is the real fact here, and that's because I don't have to tell you that sometimes maybe people like Christopher Jones will speak as if they're speaking to other academics, and they're not.
Yeah, no, Chris is pretty good, but and that's why when you had me in the studio along with Bill Horn, I thought that was a great interaction of ideas.
Yeah, it was, and Bill came, you came, and Bill came to, I'm sad to say, not a very well-attended water quality conference we had at Iowa Central a number of years ago.
Yes, we did.
But
Ron Corbett was at that one.
Ron Corbett was there, and Jennifer Terry, and certainly you were there, and Bill Are you kidding me? Now I can't remember the former state agriculture secretary, but
Oh yeah, right.
we got.
Let's get off this air because we can't remember.
We can't remember anything. All right, we're done. That's it. I can't deal with it. I see the man in my head. He was ag secretary. He went to Washington as undersecretary. Oh, for God's sake. David Osterberg, thank you for being here.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My brain is gone, but we have more stuff coming up. Fox News is next at AM 1400 KVFD.
A bipartisan call for action. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
This terrible, tragic incident in Dayton may not have to happen in other places.
The Democratic mayor of Dayton, Nan Whaley, speaking alongside the Republican Ohio governor, again urging changes in laws aimed at helping to prevent mass shootings. President Trump getting pressure from both sides of the gun control issue. Fox's John Decker, live at the White House.
In the wake of 2 mass shootings in Texas and Ohio, the president is showing interest in backing legislation to strengthen background checks on people seeking to purchase firearms. But NRA CEO Wayne LaPierre has reportedly tried to talk the president out of supporting stronger background checks, arguing that to do so would hurt the president's standing with his core base of supporters. The House has passed 2 bills to require background checks on all private gun sales and increase the amount of time required to process a background check. But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has refused to bring either measure to the floor of the Senate for a vote. Lisa?
John, several busloads of migrant workers being released in Mississippi after nearly 700 people were detained yesterday in immigration raids on food processing plants. Fox's Steve Harrigan.
ICE officials say the message that they are trying to send to people is that they are going to enforce the law in a professional manner. They say they are targeting not just workers who are working illegally in the U.S., but also companies that knowingly hire those workers. On the other side, critics of these raids say, especially coming after the shooting in El Paso, they are simply an attempt to spread fear.
The Texas gunman suspected of targeting Hispanics. It's not clear yet how many people remain detained in Mississippi. Wall Street rallies. A good one. The Dow up 374 points at the closing bell. The NASDAQ up more than 2%. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Mother of the accused shooter in El Paso apparently called police about her son's gun.
Attorneys for the Crucius family say the suspected shooter's mother called police in Allen, Texas, because she was concerned her son was too immature to own an AK-type weapon. She said she was worried about his age and ability to handle the firearm. The attorneys told a media outlet that she did not call police because she was afraid he was volatile or could ever commit a mass shooting. She was transferred apparently to a public safety officer, and the call ended without her giving her name or her son's name. Allen police did not confirm the call, saying the limited contact they had with the suspect's family included a runaway report on him, a minor traffic incident, and a burglary at the family home. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Another candidate makes the stage for the next Democratic presidential debate. Entrepreneur Andrew Yang, who's pushing for universal basic income, becomes the 9th candidate to qualify based on polling results and fundraising for the September debate in in Houston. A manhunt in Tennessee for an escaped inmate suspected of being involved in the death of a state employee.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Director David Rouse says they have to locate Curtis Ray Watson.
We have shifted resources from throughout the state to West Tennessee as this is a priority.
Watson, who was serving 15 years for aggravated kidnapping, was working farm labor when the tractor he was using was found abandoned. Governor Bill Lee says the woman Watson is suspected of killing. Deborah Johnson worked for the state for decades. Lee asked residents to be vigilant and observant.
This man is considered extremely dangerous, and we need to find him.
Neighboring states are also being asked to be on the lookout for Watson. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Recapping the Wall Street rally, the Dow up 371, finishing right around 26,378. The S&P also up more than 1%. Lisa Brady, this is Fox
News. Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. A two-vehicle accident that involved a semi-truck occurred yesterday here in Fort Dodge. The accident happened around 1:30 yesterday afternoon at the intersection of Triton Plaza and Kenyon Road. Reports say a Chevy Cruze was turning right at the light at the intersection and was hit by a Transportation Specialist Limited semi-truck. The driver of the truck told Fort Dodge police the light was yellow on his side. The truck driver was cited by police. There were no injuries reported in the crash. The Broadband Communications Survey has been going on here in Fort Dodge. City Manager David Feerick says the city has received over 600 completed broadband surveys, but the survey is still ongoing.
Survey for broadband is still out there on our Facebook page, City of Fort Dodge, Iowa. People can complete the survey about how they feel about their current broadband, their telephone, also their video provider, and what their interests are. And we'd love to have more results. We already got 610 surveys completed, which is a good number.
Feerick says that there's more to the survey than just feedback from Fort Dodge residents.
And in addition to that survey, we can also run a test on the speed you're getting at your home. So
the survey and testing data is designed to give the city and consultants that they've hired information they need as they move forward exploring the idea of improving upon broadband connectivity. 2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration fee. 2 roads here in Webster County will be undergoing construction. The first area is P56 Nelson Avenue from the Fort Dodge city limits to 120th Street and C56 120th Street between Nelson Avenue and Highway 169. Traffic on both of those roads will be restricted down to 1 lane due to the repaving of those sections of road. The work is expected to be ongoing for the next 6 weeks. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly clear skies and quiet this afternoon with highs around 78. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 55. Tonight, clear skies and quiet. Tomorrow, high of 81. 85 Saturday with a chance for scattered storms. 83 Sunday, storms continue. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 77.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. After releasing its planted acreage numbers June 30th, USDA has been under fire from those who believe the forecast did not reflect the amount of acres that went into prevented planting this year. Following a resurvey, those numbers will be updated along with the next WASDE report Monday. An analyst with CHS says to expect volatility once the report comes out. More after this.
The following message has been paid for by the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship. If you sell fruit and vegetables commercially in Iowa, the FDA's produce safety rule likely affects you. To find out if you're in compliance and to learn about training classes and resources offered by the Iowa State University Food Safety Team, visit iowasafeproduce.com. Are you in compliance? Learn more at a training session coming to a town near you soon. Visit iowasafeproduce.com for updates. This message was supported by the FDA Grant 5810 and does not necessarily represent the official views of the FDA. Take control of your tarp and upgrade your manual tarp system to electric with a Rolltech electric tarp conversion by AgriCover Inc. Save time and increase productivity by tarping on the go. This system operates with the convenient push of a button, keeping your driver inside the cab and out of dust, rain, and harm's way. Upgrade your existing tarp to electric today to stay protected, clean, and on schedule. For more information or to find a dealer near you, call 1-800-233-4655 or visit rolltechelectric.com.
Speaking to Brownfield at Minnesota Farm Fest in southwest Minnesota, CHS Hedging Director of Risk Consulting Services Kent Beadle says every farmer he talked to at the event asked about the USDA reports coming August 12th.
Our expectations essentially are as follows. We think that the June number at 91.7 was probably misunderstood by the trade. We're believing that we're going to get some clarity. We think that the truth lies in the fact that there was probably 95 to 96 million acres of corn intentions as of the last acreage report. We think that the 91.7 probably reflected about 4 million of PP that farmers had knew that they were going to put into PP at that point, and that there were an awful lot of additional acres that farmers were unsure about. As the inside word from FSA starts to be trickled out at somewhere between 12.5 and 15 million acres, which is what there's been a lot of rumors about and which we actually think could be true, we think that means that corn is going to end up with about 8 to 10 million acres of corn that was planted for or would have been planted for grain that did not get planted for grain. If you take that off the 95 million acres to 96, you're probably somewhere in, this 85, maybe 87 million, somewhere in that range is where you start in terms of coming up with a harvested acres number. We think that's probably 90% this year or 89%, and so you're down in the high 70s. That's what we expect to see. Our research person has put out his yield estimate for this report at 162 bushels an acre. One thing that we're not clear on is whether or not farmers are being surveyed for this report as to yield. If they are, we would believe that there's less optimism in farm country about yields this year and that 162 might be a real number. If the USDA leaves things just to their weather model, we think they'll probably stay at 166 and punt the whole thing until September.
With Managing for Profit, Mark Dorenkamp, Brownfield.
The bakers at Village Hearth are proud to introduce the latest addition to their Artisan Hearth brand family of products. Artisan Hearth Rustic Country White Bread. Thickly sliced and lightly dusted with flour, this gourmet loaf has been carefully crafted to deliver the homemade taste and slightly chewy texture your family will love. Try Artisan Hearth Country Rustic White Bread. Toasted or untoasted, it's the perfect complement to your favorite sandwiches. Artisan Hearth, baked fresh locally.
It won't be long before the kids will be back in school. Got your to-do list ready? School supplies? Check. School clothes? Check. School sport physical? Not check. Uh-oh. Better call Active Health Chiropractic today. At Active Health Chiropractic, they offer sport physicals for kids in grade school through high school. As part of their school sport physical, they'll also do a pre-concussion screening. Call today and schedule an appointment for your star athlete. Active Health Chiropractic, Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
This week on the Iowa Watch Connection,
We're in the minority of districts in the state who have new money because of that enrollment growth. It also has a lot of positive impact in our district that we see the growth.
Schools need funding, sometimes coming from the state and sometimes from district voters directly.
Your facilities need to evolve as well, and that's what we're looking for in our ballot vote.
But the concept of educating the next generation requires investment.
It's incredibly rewarding to know that schools have the resources they need to make a difference in students.
The financial demands on Iowa school districts and those who support them. Our topic this week.
The Iowa Watch Connection is presented by the Iowa Center for Public Affairs Journalism, online at iowawatch.org. Here is Jeff Stein.
Much attention.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick? Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media present our Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride Saturday, August 10th. Be at Fort Dodge Ford between 9 and 10:30 to register. Then it's kickstands up for 150 miles of wide-open fun on the road. Our Hogs for Heroes stops include the Co-op Bar and Grill in Pomeroy, River Valley Winery in Humboldt, Johnny's Bar and Grill in Wesley, the Blue Moose Saloon in Renwick, Ernie's Harley-Davidson in Algona, and Miller's Landing in Humboldt, where you can listen to live music, eat great food, and bid on your favorite items in the silent auction. Entry fee is just $15 a rider or $25 a couple. All proceeds go to the Brushy Creek Honor Flight. Get a free Hogs for Heroes t-shirt while supplies last. Pre-register until August 8th at yourfortdodge.com to reserve your spot and t-shirt. This special event is sponsored in part by the Western Edge in Humboldt, Iowa Outdoor Store, Hardware and Rental, Fort Dodge, Riddle's Jewelry, Fort Dodge, and Zinnel Roofing, Humboldt. Fire up your bike, your car, your truck, even your minivan for the Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride, hosted by Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media. We ride so they can fly.
In today's economy, it just makes sense to plan ahead. At Historic Bruce Funeral Home, pre-planning your funeral arrangements can save you money. By planning ahead, you can secure your arrangements at today's prices, no matter when our services are needed. Pre-planning your funeral is one of the most thoughtful things you can do for your family. Call us for details. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge. Online at brucesfuneralhome.com.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
This week on the Iowa Watch Connection,
We're in the minority of districts in the state who have new money because of that enrollment growth. It also has a lot of positive impact in our district that we see the growth.
schools need funding, sometimes coming from the state.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Savings or mail-in rebate. See store for details.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Hey, you want to win $1 million? Wild Rose Casino and Resort presents the Tournament of Champions. This is a one-of-a-kind slot tournament bringing out the best, and we need you to represent us in fabulous Las Vegas to play for $1 million. Qualify in our Friday night slot tournaments now through July 26. Get all the info online at wildroseresorts.com. You'd rather be here.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes.
All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
BizExecs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD news update, I'm Rob Jones. A two-vehicle accident that involved a semi-truck occurred yesterday here in Fort Dodge. The accident happened around 1:30 yesterday afternoon at the intersection of Triton Plaza and Kenyon Road. Reports say a Chevy Cruze was turning right at the light at the intersection and was hit by a Transportation Specialist Limited semi-truck. The driver of the truck told Fort Dodge police the light was yellow on his side. The truck driver was cited by police. There were no injuries reported in the crash. The Broadband Communications Survey has been going on here in Fort Dodge. City Manager David Feerick says the city has received over 600 completed broadband surveys, but the survey is still ongoing.
Survey for broadband is still out there on our Facebook page, City of Fort Dodge, Iowa. People can complete the survey about how they feel about their current broadband, their telephone, also their video provider, and what their interests are. And we'd love to have more results. We already got 610 surveys completed, which is a good number.
Feerick says that there's more to the survey than just feedback from Fort Dodge residents.
And in addition to that survey, we can also run a test on the speed you're getting at your home. So
the survey and testing data is designed to give the city and consultants that they've hired information they need as they move forward exploring the idea of improving upon broadband connectivity. 2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration fee. 2 roads here in Webster County will be undergoing construction. The first area is P56 Nelson Avenue from the Fort Dodge city limits to 120th Street and C56 120th Street between Nelson Avenue and Highway 169. Traffic on both of those roads will be restricted down to 1 lane due to the repaving of those sections of road. The work is expected to be ongoing for the next 6 weeks. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly clear skies and quiet this afternoon with highs around 78. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 55. Tonight, clear skies and quiet. Tomorrow, high of 81. 85 Saturday with a chance for scattered storms. 83 Sunday, storms continue. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 77.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 4.5 at $4.11. December up 4 1/4 at $4.18 1/4. March corn up 4 3/4 to $4.28 1/2. May up 4 3/4 at $4.33 1/4. August soybeans up 16 1/4 at $8.65. September up 16 1/4 to $8.70 1/4. November beans up 16 1/4 at $8.83. January up 15 3/4 at $8.96. Wheat closed up 10 1/4 cents at $4.98 1/2. Soybean meal up $1.80 a ton at $2.94.80. August live cattle up 35 cents at $107.95. October up 30 at $106.75. August feeders up 30 cents at $139.85. September up 50 cents at $139.87. August lean hogs closed down 37 cents at $77.35. And October lean hogs up 102 at $67.87. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Summer is the season for wild berries. Hi, I'm Julie Harker, and this is Healthy Living on Brownfield. One of the most popular wild berries is the blackberry, and they grow among thorns. Wear long pants and long sleeves when picking them. Other wild berries that are a summer favorite are mulberries from the mulberry tree. Their fruit is dark and juicy and kind of look like blackberries, but there are no thorns involved. In fact, you can put a blanket or cloth under the tree and give the limbs a good shake to get the mulberries to the ground. You'll have to compete with wild birds and animals for these berries because they love them, but there are often plenty to go around. Now, with gooseberries, when they're unripe and still green, they're used for pies. When the gooseberry ripens, though, it's red and sweet and quickly consumed by birds. Blackberries and mulberries are also great for pies and cobblers. All of these wild berries are good for you, rich in antioxidants, fiber, and vitamins C and K. The Missouri Department of Conservation says it's important to make sure you know exactly the berries you're picking so they're not confused with something poisonous. And ask permission from landowners whose berries are on private property. Sharing with them is a good way to spread out the harvest. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
I need results, so I choose the one system I trust to take weeds down and keep them down on even my toughest acres. With the Roundup Ready Extend crop system, I get the proven performance of Roundup Ready 2 Extend soybeans, combined with XtendiMax herbicide with Vapor Grip technology for control of more weeds than any other soybean system. Up to 14 days of soil activity on labeled weeds, and the kind of yield potential that helps keep me in the black. All to deliver my kind of results, season after season. I choose the Roundup Ready Extend crop system. I choose results. See why the Roundup Ready Extend crop system continues to be the #1 soybean system planted by farmers when you visit RoundupReadyExtend.com. XtendiMax is a restricted use pesticide. Performance may vary. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions. Check local regulations for specific requirements in your state.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks are higher after yesterday's dramatic swing. Investors are looking at upbeat earnings news and a report that says 8,000 fewer claims were filed for unemployment benefits last week, a sign the job market is holding up. Lyft shares are up 3.5% after its earnings were stronger than expected. Uber reports today after the Wall Street close. CBS and AT&T say they've reached a deal to continue providing local CBS broadcast stations and national channels to DirecTV Now and other streaming lineups. It ends a 20-day blackout, but it's also a multi-year agreement that includes Smithsonian Channel and CBS Sports Network. And the U.S. has raised the travel advisory on Hong Kong, urging travelers to exercise extreme caution after 2 months of protests there. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
Hey, my friend's retail store was the victim of IoT password theft.
Yep. Cybercriminals are taking over security cameras, payment systems, and other IoT devices by exploiting vulnerabilities.
What if they target us and our dispersed network?
We're secured with Barracuda. We have advanced firewalls for our sites, enhanced security for our cloud infrastructure, and total email protection.
Such a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media present our Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride Saturday, August 10th. Be at Fort Dodge Ford between 9 and 10:30 to register. Then it's kickstands up for 150 miles of wide-open fun on the road. Our Hogs for Heroes stops include the Co-op Bar and Grill in Pomeroy, River Valley Winery in Humboldt, Johnny's Bar and Grill in Wesley, the Blue Moose Saloon in Renwick, Ernie's Harley-Davidson in Algona, and Miller's Landing in Humboldt, where you can listen to live music, eat great food, and bid on your favorite items in the silent auction. Entry fee is just $15 a rider or $25 a couple. All proceeds go to the Brushy Creek Honor Flight. Get a free Hogs for Heroes t-shirt while supplies last. Pre-register until August 8th at yourfortdodge.com to reserve your spot and t-shirt. This special event is sponsored in part by the Western Edge in Humboldt, Iowa Outdoor Store, Hardware and Rental, Fort Dodge, Riddle's Jewelry, Fort Dodge, and Zinnel Roofing, Humboldt. Fire up your bike, your car, your truck, even your minivan for the Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride, hosted by Ernie's Harley-Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media. We ride so they can fly.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
When a loved one is having a medical emergency, a few minutes can be the difference between life and death. With Iowa facing a health professional shortage, emergency care may be farther away than you'd think. That's why insurance profits shouldn't matter more than people. Over 117 million Americans depend on air medical transport during an emergency. But insurance companies are refusing to pay for this life-saving service. Call Senators Ernst and Grassley and tell them to support emergency air medical transport, paid for by Alliance for Access to Critical Care.
Ever wonder why Europeans seem to speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's award-winning technology gets you speaking right away, whether you're learning Spanish, French, or German. And best of all, you'll remember what you've learned.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Using Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons, you can be speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I was amazed that I could start having real-life conversations right away. It was so fast. Now I'm speaking Spanish. Woohoo!
No wonder Babbel is the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Try it for yourself and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language, like Spanish, French, or more. You can try Babbel for free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
This code asks, what events in our nation's history had an impact on you and how?
Pearl Harbor was on my 10th birthday, December 7th, 1941. That was the start of World War II. I was doing the farm chores with my brother, and the vet came to check our cows and told us all about it. It was a scary time.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
That's right. That's what we're doing, making radio great again. Assisting us in that effort today, or perhaps leading us in this effort today, is Dr. Lee Heeb. How are you, Lee?
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm excellent.
On a Thursday.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll be at the Iowa State Fair. We're going to take this little show down to the Iowa State Fair tomorrow on behalf of Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. So I asked Dr. Heeb if she could contribute to the program today, and she very kindly said yes, and we're appreciative for that, Lee. We really are, as always, and we appreciate you having you on, as always. Dr. Heeb is an orthopedic surgeon and a libertarian, but I think what we need are more psychiatrists to treat the Democratic Party because they all seem to be nuts. Kamala.
I wish they were just nuts. I wish it was that simple and that it was that innocent. I mean, you got to have sympathy for people that are nuts, but the problem here is these guys are finally coming out and saying who they really are. I don't know, for years I've been saying people have to wake up to the fact that the Democrat Socialists of America, of which over 88 of our congressmen are members, is the Communist Party of America. And they make no bones about it. The Communist Party, if you look at how it was founded, the Communist Party said, well, communism has a bad name, let's call it something else. Democratic Socialists of America. So at their convention now, they're calling each other comrades, and they're actively calling for the overthrow of capitalism. Now, let's just put that, think about what's happened in the last 2 months. We're really in trouble in this nation. We're really on the edge, in my opinion. And, I've never heard, it's just unbelievable the censorship they're calling for. You listen to any of these people like on The View, and they're saying, oh, I don't like that person. You have to take him off the air. He's evil. He's bad, blah, 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 blah. They've censored over 200 to 300 million people. At 200 at last count, it's probably up to 300 now, have lost their feeds, their internet feeds from people that were conservatives. If you look at Alex Jones' the test case, not only is he deplatformed, he's unpersoned. You cannot even mention his name. What the hell? How did we get there? Where no matter what somebody says, he's not advocating the overthrow of America or any direct assault on anybody. So how do you get to the point where you cannot mention someone's name on your Twitter or your deplatformed or your program?
Because language by the left has been determined to be oppressive. Language itself has been determined to be oppressive in the July 30, and I've made multiple references to this over the last couple of weeks. In the July 31st Des Moines Register, there was a letter to the editor from a young Latina woman who, here is the title of her article. It's not a letter, it's a piece the Register allowed on their opinion section. We have the right to define racism on our own terms. We have the right to define racism on our own terms. And she goes on to tell a story about her and some others going up to a conference in Milwaukee, the LULAC conference, the League of United Latin American Citizens conference, where they were being addressed by presidential candidates. Well, apparently a single white woman, was on the bus with them, and on the way back, now she was in sympathy with the group, by the way, and she told a story about how when she was younger, she used the N-word, and she was immediately told that she could not use that word no matter what. And the woman tried to explain, well, I would never use that word today, but I'm saying that it was used by children back when I was very young. And they condemned her, and she went away and cried. Now, which is kind of a liberal white woman response. They would go away and cry and realize that they're wrong and come back apologetically somehow. But at the end of this particular piece, this young Latina woman says, we must seize control of the language. That's essentially what she's saying. We must seize control of the language. And that's something that, by the way, that Congressman Steve King has been opposing for years and years and years. He's in a little trouble these last few months, but he's not wrong. If we allow people to seize control of the language, they'll take control of everything. And they know it, by the way. They know it.
That's what I'm saying. This isn't insanity. This is a coordinated effort, and it's on multiple fronts. And language is the first thing to go. And you look at years ago, they changed what really meant to be liberal. Classic liberals are basically like libertarians. Let live and individual freedom. Just leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. We follow the Constitution. Classic liberalism is what brought us the Constitution. But the liberals today are basically more like, they're on the totalitarian end of the spectrum. Now, I don't have a problem. She can redefine racism all she wants to. What she doesn't have the right to do is tell me that my speech has to be censored because she doesn't agree with it.
That's exactly right.
That's where we change. You have the right to say what I might not like what she says either, but she has the right to be on Twitter. She has the right to be in the public sphere. It's like the only person to not be able to speak at Hyde Park, where any crazy person can speak, in England is Tommy Robinson. He's been barred from Hyde Park. Are you kidding me? That's what's coming here. And after you but I'm just saying, I think it's a coordinated attack. So the next step is the Democrats are all coming out and saying, of course, it's wonderful. This guy down in El Paso was just a perfect guy for the Democrats, because they want to say, we have to take the guns now. We have to take the guns. And they put up this false narrative, and I'm not going to get into the data, which completely doesn't support their narrative. But the point is that they have come out of the dark shadows. Biden even said at one point, we should go and actually house to house take guns, make them illegal, take any semi-automatic weapon, which includes handguns, by the way. He doesn't probably know that, but that does. Now, he's kind of backed off a little bit and said, well, no, I'd first do a buyback. But you know what they really want to do. They want to just shut it down because they cannot get their agenda across. They cannot crash capitalism without disarming the population. And, and then you have to demonize people. And they're now not just demonizing Trump, they're demonizing his supporters. And then you saw in New York, they have these posters out that literally say, death camps for Trump supporters now. And they're advocating violence against people.
Yes, they are.
What's that?
Yes, they are.
Oh, yeah. And, they have, it's one thing to put out a poster. They also had some posters that were making fun. It's funny if you're not, if you're not in the mood to be laughed at, but they had, basically calling deplorables and Trump supporters like trash, and so they had keep New York City trash free, meaning don't bring us out. They've got this movie, The Hunt, coming out where these billionaires round up deplorables and hump them. That's
right.
The movie. Can you imagine that? I mean, but it's, again, those are just words, but it tells you an intent. And all I'm saying is that I'd like to think this was just this group, Trump derangement syndrome insanity. But unfortunately, this is exactly down the road of every totalitarian nation. And, these guys are worried about 30 people that were killed, over the weekend in these so-called mass murders. No, mass murder is when you disarm a population and murder millions. That's what socialism, communism does. And we have a world history of that. You first disarm people, and then you, in the case of Hitler, you use an economic crisis, or today we might be devising an economic crisis in order to get people to realize, we have to do something, and then you blame it on your political enemies, and you kill them because now they're disarmed. That's
of course.
Exactly the way Mao did it. That's exactly the way the Soviets did it with everybody. That's the way Germany did it. You can go right down. Pol Pot, you go right down the list. These, I don't like, it's like I don't want crazy people to have guns. But let me tell you.
No, we don't, do we?
No, but 10 people who are crazy that have guns is far less damaging than a government that's crazy that has guns. And the government will always have guns. So you do not want to have the government be the only people with guns. And this is a very bad road we're going down, and it's happened in 2 months. Think about what's happened in 2 months. It's scary.
Yeah, it is, but it's been a long time coming. The universities capitulated years ago with these speech codes and the safe zones and all of these things. And we just stood around and let it happen. So here we are now with people threatening us. If you speak this way, we are going to get you fired. We're going to ruin your business. We're going to boycott you. All of these things, they're thugs. Let's just call it what it is. These folks are thugs, and they're unapologetic thugs.
People show up at McConnell's house, threatening him and his family, right? Mitch McConnell. I'm not a fan of Mitch McConnell, and he's part of the feckless Republicans that got us here. But we cannot have representative government when we act like a banana republic and we go and assassinate people or threaten to assassinate people or threaten their families. You cannot have this. And I don't know what the response to that was, but I hope that the police, they should arrest every one of those people. We have to stop mollycoddling assault. I mean, this is what this is. And
well, I'm waiting for that to happen. I mean, we have these mobs of masked people beating people up and starting fires in Portland, Oregon. The mayor of Portland, my God, Ted Wheeler, is a disgrace. He believes it's free speech to put on a mask and hit someone with a club. Well, how crazy is that? I mean, these are intelligent, educated people running some of the biggest cities in the country.
So you have to ask yourself, and again, is it crazy, or are these people being paid? We're also watching at the same time all this is happening. We got a proxy war going on with China and India. China has their people all over the place. We're just finding out that they're Chinese agents. I mean, we knew it, but it's finally coming out in the press that there are Chinese agents in our government, Chinese agents that have been we knew in industry for years. Thiessen says take Google and try them for treason. I mean, why is Google deplatforming conservatives? Google now lives in China. They're being paid by the Chinese. They're working with the Chinese for artificial intelligence of their military. I mean, how many dots do you have to put together there? They're being paid. So who else is the Chinese paid? How much do they pay that guy, the mayor? We don't know yet, and I think it's going to be a while till we know. But just like we saw, everybody wants to demonize Putin, but he's a nationalist now. He's not. We don't have a common term to the Soviet Union coming out trying to subvert America, but we know that happened. But we do have the Chinese, and So I don't think this is all by accident. I really don't. I think there's a lot of money changing hands that you and I don't know about that's bringing upon a lot of stuff, like the Chinese own Hollywood. If you want a propaganda organization, Hollywood's it, baby.
Well, they have a real problem with infectious disease in San Francisco because mobs of homeless people and street people have decided that San Francisco is a destination city for them. And the streets are covered with, there's human feces in the streets, and it's spreading disease in the beautiful city of San Francisco. And San Francisco does not have the will to do anything about it. It's
they're just clueless on that one. I don't think that's a plot or any grand conspiracy of the Chinese. I think that's just Democrat governance.
Yeah. Well, how does even a Democrat stand for that in their city? How a lot of these people are illegals, and they defecate and urinate wherever they are, in public parks and city streets and alleys everywhere. It's shocking, and
I know
they don't do anything.
I don't know. I mean, it's just we saw it in Seattle when my husband and I were in Seattle. Right between the Four Seasons Hotel, this 4-star hotel, and the ritziest Starbucks in Seattle, where the whole thing started, there are people sleeping on the street. Really?
And apparently there's nothing that can be done about that. We must all live together. So if you really want to go to a nice hotel and go to Starbucks or to a nice restaurant, you must step over homeless people who apparently can't figure out any other place to sleep because they're homeless.
Well, I'll tell you one thing you can do about it. Here's one of the problems is they abet them. In other words,
yes,
I don't
they do.
know about San Francisco, but I'm sure it's similar. In Seattle, what they do is they give them tents.
Yes.
They give them sleeping bags. They give them food, and they don't require anything in return.
That's exactly right.
And there was a very good book years ago called The Failure of American Compassion or something, The Tragedy of American Compassion. And it's about Philadelphia, the so-called city of brotherly love. And it shows how over time, over the history of the city, when they first did charity, you had to work for it.
Yes.
You had to chop wood if you were a man, and you had to sew if you were a woman, and you got a ticket that said you. And then you felt good about it because you could also feed your family, and you could earn more and feed your friends. And it was limited because people that didn't want to work didn't get that. But then when they went to what's so-called open-air charity, which is what we have here, then people just mooched off of it, and the whole thing collapsed. Now, what's happening I'm sure in Seattle, if they quit giving them tents and they quit feeding them without enforcing, if you're going to get fed, we'll give you soup kitchens, but you have to be in here, you have to sleep here at night, and you have to do some work.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want. One of the problems with the cops in Seattle, there was a big article when we were there in the paper. The people that are doing this don't want to go into those shelters because they can't engage in their drug habit and everything else they want to do.
That's exactly right. And why should they? They're having all their needs taken care of.
Right. So then they could do what they want. So we literally saw when we were getting on a ramp, I can't remember the highway, we were driving on the on-ramp, and in the little triangle of the on-ramp, maybe I told you this before, there was a circle of about 6 or 8 tents, and then there was this great big Barca lounger, beat-up old Barca lounger with this Samoan-looking guy in it, and these guys are all sitting around passing a dope pipe. It's like this their lifestyle. And, they'll probably choose up who goes with the handouts from the government. I mean, that's what's supporting it. If you had to actually work to eat, you'd work. I mean, that may sound cruel, but that is how we got in here. Now, how you get out of it is you've got to slowly back that out. You've got to say, okay, we're not going to let you starve, but if you're able-bodied, you've got to come in here, and we don't care if it's just punching holes in paper. You've got to come in here and work during the day, and you've got to sleep here at night.
Well, where we are now is that compassion and mercy are the only virtues allowed. And there's a certain concept of those words that are the only concepts or the only definitions are allowed. Like this young woman on the bus going to Milwaukee. They demand to command the language and the definition of individual words and tell us what the real world is and what the truth is. What it is it's they've gone past Mao into Orwell now. They're going to create a false reality for us because they're in control of the language. That's it's startling. So if you are not compassionate in the way they define compassion, then you are what? You are a racist, or you have some sort of problem, or you're a supremacist, on and on and on. This is just propaganda. What this young woman, this young woman doesn't even understand. This young woman in the July 31st Des Moines Register doesn't understand that these are propaganda techniques. A lot of them put together by Joseph Goebbels, a propaganda minister of Germany. He was a brilliant man. He was evil and twisted, but he was brilliant, and he understood that repetition and command of the language were key.
The Soviets did exactly the same thing. The Soviets changed the language. That's where Orwell got his idea of newspeak.
Yes.
And, but what the history point is, these liberals, leftists don't understand is, and I'm thinking of the whole picture, how the homeless in Seattle and the people trying to take the guns and kill Trump supporters and everything else. When it all comes down, if they win, the very first people to be exterminated are the people that got them there, and their preferred little class of people. So look at Chinese. Okay? They're using the Muslims in Kashmir against the Hindus. They've been doing it for a long time. They killed millions of Hindus using their proxy army of Muslims. But what did the Chinese do with the Muslims in their own country? They put them in concentration camps. They don't let them out on their streets. They know a weapon, and they don't let them weaponize against themselves. So what's going to happen is, there were no homeless people. In fact, there's a funny story. There were no homeless people in the Soviet Union. It was no crime and no homeless people because they killed them. You couldn't lay on the street. You'd be taken to the Gulag or to Lubyanka and shot. So that won't be a problem if the leftists really get their utopia. I had a very famous spine surgeon tell me one time I was out to do my fellowship. And I was applying, and he said to me one time, he said, Lee, if you want to do research, you need to be in a country that has homeless lying in the streets. Because when you don't see any homeless at all, that's a very controlled, overregulated country that will not allow you the freedom to do real research. Freedom, a certain amount of homelessness is a symbol of freedom. You have the freedom to be totally worthless. If you want to be.
That's right.
As long as somebody feeds you and you can figure out how to stay alive, you have that right. But the point is that in the kind of utopian anti-capitalist society these idiots in the DSA want to bring us, it will be, first of all, like Venezuela. It'll be a nightmare collapse, and then it will be a Stalinist gulag. That's the way these all go.
Well, here's a chilling sentence from this letter to the editor, or this opinion piece, rather, that I keep referring to from July 31st. This young woman says, and I want you to listen to this, how are people of color supposed to take hold of the conversation of race and suppression when we are being policed, bullied, and told not to define what racist is to ourselves? You're not supposed to take hold of the conversation. You're supposed to engage in the conversation. You're not being bullied and told not to define what is racist for yourselves. We're telling you that it is wrong to take control of the conversation. That is not debate between free people as we have understood it. That is power. That is a demand for power. And yes, you're going to make white liberal ladies cry if you keep telling them that.
Yeah. And you'll be beheaded if you keep it up. Robespierre is a perfect example of someone who took control of the conversation. He took control. He this whole idea. In fact, one of the great narratives to come down over the story is that Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." Actually, that's not what she said. She did not say that at all. And she was actually a big advocate for the poor and actually contributed her time and money to the poor. And but that doesn't matter. We don't hear that narrative. We just hear the narrative that they were killed and blah, blah, blah. But the people that ran the guillotine ultimately fell to the guillotine. So that's what's going to happen to these guys if they really win. But we can't let that happen. I mean, that's the end of America. And we're just under all pronged attack on our language, on our border, on our Second Amendment rights, everything. And it's really coming to a head.
I wonder if we're the kind of people who could win a war like this anymore. You know, I've often thought as we go by some of the World War II memorials, and I every time I see some tribute to veterans from that era, I think to myself, we're just not the type of people who can mount an effort like that and win a war like that anymore. I don't think we have the will to even defend ourselves from people who would destroy us. I really question
I don't
that.
know, because here's the difference. I got to say, there's a difference. So there's a very good book that I read, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was written by a Jewish reporter from New York City who went to Germany just after the World War II. And he spent 2 years there getting to know 10 people, 10 men who were members of the Nazi Party, to understand why they were members of the Nazi Party. And I remember that one of the scary things was, one of the guys was a professor of High German, and he basically said, you know, if the Nazis had come in one day and said, we're going to murder a bunch of people and we're going to declare war on blah, 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 we would have risen up with pitchforks and taken them out. The problem is it happened so gradually. It was like the corn was growing that was over our head before we knew what was going on. Now, that could happen, but I have to say, you know, we have a different history. We don't come from a history of a king. We don't come from a czar. We don't come from a history of tyrants. We come from a history of free people. And there's a great number of very silent, free-loving people in this country that are armed, and I do not think that we will go down. You know, I heard a statistic that I don't think we're going to let the Joe Biden come to our door and take weapons and then kill us. I just don't think we're going to do that.
I hope not.
The Minnesota hunters, just the hunters in the state of Minnesota, constitute the 5th largest standing army in the world.
Dr. Lee Heeb has been our guest. Thank you so much, Lee.
Thank you so much.
All right. This is KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa. It's 4 o'clock.
The candidates descend on Iowa. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The state fair kicks off with at least 9 of the Democratic presidential hopefuls in Iowa today. A few stepping up to the microphone already.
Former Vice President Joe Biden is no stranger to the state fair's political soapbox.
Y'all are in real trouble then, man. That's a bad thing to tell me I got more time to speak.
In a 20-minute pitch, Biden repeated his characterization. The upcoming election is a fight for the soul of the nation, and with reporters afterwards, sharpened his criticism of President Trump's rhetoric.
Whether he is or is not a white supremacist, he encourages them. Everything he does, he speaks to them. He's afraid to take them on.
Biden, running for president for the 3rd time, says the issues facing the country now are in his wheelhouse and things he's worked on his whole life. At the Iowa State Fair in Des Moines, Jared Alpern, Fox News.
The president accusing Democrats of using racism as a weapon, calling them truly disgusting. The Trump administration facing renewed criticism of its immigration policies after raids on food processing plants in Mississippi yesterday, detaining nearly 700 workers, though about 300 have since been released. Some of their children were in school at the time.
ICE officials said they tried to make every effort possible to make sure that students and parents who were separated by these raids were reunited, that they talked to liaison officers.
But Fox's Steve Harrigan reports that case-by-case effort had mixed results, and in some cases, neighbors and others in those communities have been stepping in to help. In California, police just releasing the identity of the suspect in a deadly stabbing spree yesterday. He's 33-year-old Zachary Castaneda, described as a documented gang member. He's accused of killing 4 people, wounding 2 others, and apparently random attacks in 2 cities. Police say he has a violent criminal record and has served time in prison. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%, APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For JD Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 0.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hurricane season may be more active than first thought.
Current and predicted oceanic and atmospheric conditions now indicate a higher likelihood, a 45% chance, of an above normal season.
NOAA forecaster Jerry Bell says the government scientists now expect 10 to 17 named storms, with 5 to 9 becoming hurricanes. There have been 2 named storms already in the Atlantic season, including Barry, which hit Louisiana. The updated forecast partly due to the end of the El Nino weather system. A federal appeals court says a Christian cross can remain on the seal of a Pennsylvania county.
Lehigh County has had the cross on its seal for 75 years, but a Wisconsin atheist group sued, and a lower court supported their claim that the appearance of the cross was an endorsement of religion. The Philadelphia Appeals Court overturned that ruling, adding that secular images appear on the seal as well. This decision comes months after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of a Maryland county keeping a 40-foot-tall World War I cross standing on public property. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Some Hollywood stars are boycotting gyms over a re-election fundraiser for the president.
Celebrities canceling memberships to luxury fitness club Equinox and cycling chain SoulCycle over news billionaire Stephen Ross, an investor in the chains, plans to host a Hamptons fundraiser for President Trump. Actress Sophia Bush tweeting, "Bye-bye, SoulCycle, won't miss ya." Lion King voice actor Billy Eichner suggesting Ross was, quote, enabling racism and mass murder by supporting the president. In statements, Equinox and SoulCycle say they don't have anything to do with the event.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. In a written statement, Ross says he's known the president for 40 years and doesn't agree with him on every issue. He also tells BuzzFeed News he supports racial equality. Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. A 2-vehicle accident that involved a semi-truck occurred yesterday here in Fort Dodge. The accident happened around 1:30 yesterday afternoon at the intersection of Triton Plaza and Kenyon Road. Reports say a Chevy Cruze was turning right at the light at the intersection and was hit by a transportation specialist limited semi-truck. The driver of the truck told Fort Dodge police the light was yellow on his side. The truck driver was cited by police. There were no injuries reported in the crash. The Broadband Communications Survey has been going on here in Fort Dodge. City Manager David Feerick says the city has received over 600 completed broadband surveys, but the survey is still ongoing.
Survey for broadband is still out there on our Facebook page, City of Fort Dodge, Iowa. People can complete the survey about how they feel about their current broadband, their telephone, also their video provider, and what their interests are. And we'd love to have more results. We already got 610 surveys completed, which is a good number.
Feerick says that there's more to the survey than just feedback from Fort Dodge residents.
And in addition to that survey, we can also run a test on the speed you're getting at your home. So
the survey and testing data is designed to give the city and consultants that they've hired information they need as they move forward exploring the idea of improving upon broadband connectivity. 2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration fee. 2 roads here in Webster County will be undergoing construction. The first area is P56 Nelson Avenue from the Fort Dodge city limits to 120th Street and C56 120th Street between Nelson Avenue and Highway 169. Traffic on both of those roads will be restricted down to 1 lane due to the repaving of those sections of road. The work is expected to be ongoing for the next 6 weeks. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly clear skies and quiet this afternoon with highs around 78. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 55. Tonight, clear skies and quiet. Tomorrow, high of 81. 85 Saturday with a chance for scattered storms. 83 Sunday, storms continue. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 77.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Ernie's Harley Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media present our Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride Saturday, August 10th. Be at Fort Dodge Ford between 9 and 10:30 to register. Then it's kickstands up for 150 miles of wide open fun on the road. Our Hogs for Heroes stops include the Co-op Bar and Grill in Pomeroy, River Valley Winery in Humboldt, Johnny's Bar and Grill in Wesley, the Blue Moose Saloon in Renwick, Ernie's Harley Davidson in Algona, and Miller's Landing in Humboldt, where you can listen to live music, eat great food, and bid on your favorite items in the silent auction. Entry fee is just $15 a rider or $25 a couple. All proceeds go to the Brushy Creek Honor Flight. Get a free Hogs for Heroes t-shirt while supplies last. Pre-register until August 8th at yourfortdodge.com to reserve your spot and t-shirt. This special event is sponsored in part by the Western Edge in Humboldt, Iowa Outdoor Store, Hardware and Rental, Fort Dodge, Riddle's Jewelry, Fort Dodge, and Zinnel Roofing, Humboldt. Fire up your bike, your car, your truck, even your minivan for the Hogs for Heroes Honor Ride, hosted by Ernie's Harley Davidson, Cactus Family Farms, and Alpha Media. We ride so they can fly.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Of course, we're going to tell the truth, make it matter. We're never going to be boring. And we're talking sports today with Randy Kuhlman. Our running buddy, Nevin Mulholland, can't be here today. His wife had some surgery, so I guess that's a reason.
That's a good reason.
If that isn't a reason, there is no reason.
That's right. That's what keeps your marriages together. You better be with them.
Well, God, yes. Just as a human being, if nothing else. And
absolutely.
Yeah, we want to wish Jill Mulholland a quick recovery, of course.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like she's been down this road before, and she will come back. So that's good. Hip surgery, from what I understand. Isn't that what Nevin said? The hip surgery she's having. She's had this surgery. You said that a little earlier that she'd had this before. And so anyway, glad to report that Donald Trump isn't on North 10th Street here looking for minorities or something, or looking to stir up trouble in general. I would have never said that if Nevin was here, because we'd have been off for 15 minutes on the evil of Donald Trump. Randy, I know that wrestling isn't your thing, but I am going to briefly touch.
Yeah.
I am going to briefly touch on something I saw the other day from a wrestling online magazine called Intranet, the 20 greatest wrestlers of all time. Number one, and of course this is completely subjective. Number one, and I'm happy to say that's Cale Sanderson of Iowa State. Of course, Cale came here from Utah, but we still like to claim him at Iowa State.
Right.
And, of course, he's gone out to Penn State, unfortunately, to do great things out there. But he was never defeated as a collegiate athlete, four-time NCAA champion. Second was Kyle Dake, who won 4 NCAA championships in different weight classes at Cornell. A Oklahoma State wrestler called Yorjura, I can never pronounce his name, Utaki. well, we went back to the early 60s for him, and Dan Gable was number 4.
That's surprising.
That's why I read the first 4, that Dan Gable was number 4.
I can't remember. I mean, Gable won a gold medal.
Yeah, he did.
And I
didn't allow a point, I don't think, going through the...
And then I assume, did Sanderson also win a gold medal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's when you start trying to pick those things, it's like even in football or basketball, who's the greatest NBA player? Well, it's hard to pick because eras of sports are different.
Yeah.
And so you almost have to weigh it against, okay, how good were they in their era, and has anybody been that good in their era? So it's all picking those things is always hard. And
it's a tough one, completely subjective.
Yeah, it is, and it creates conversation and what have you. So that's probably why they do it.
And now that I think about it, Cale Sanderson was a wrestler more than 20 years ago. Probably 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
But I watch wrestling pretty regularly now, and I know from top to bottom these college wrestling teams, especially, and some of the high school teams are much better than some of the wrestlers I remember as a kid growing up in the late 1960s. Very, very, very good wrestlers. Cale Sanderson, that lineup at Penn State's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who was that? Abens from Humboldt?
Keith Abens, yeah. I was. He was a teammate of mine up at Humboldt. He was a year older than I was, but Keith was state champion with Iowa State.
Yeah.
Very successful wrestler there, and he was a good athlete at Humboldt. He was an outstanding football player, actually. Left or right guard on our football team, and had a great career.
I guess I remember Abens because I was just up in I'm going here about a month ago for the class of '69 50th reunion, and there was a guy, I didn't talk to him because I didn't really know him when we were in high school. I'm well enough to say hello, but his name was Phil Bodie, and he was a really, really, really good wrestler and tough kid, but he always had to wrestle Abens. And I talked with him about it, about his high school wrestling. He went on to LSU. He still lives in Louisiana. But I asked him about those great wrestling matches when he was in high school, and he said, and he gave me a winner's answer. He said, I wrestled Abens 11 times, and I got beat by a range of 1 point in a close match, and I was pinned once by Abens. And every time I got up after all 11 defeats, I thought to myself, well, I just got to work a little harder.
Yeah.
That was a great story. I just got to work a little harder, and I'm going to beat him next time.
Yeah.
He never did, but he kept at it. And
that's it. In wrestling, it's unfortunate because maybe he was the second best wrestler in the state.
He probably was. Yeah.
And he never won a state.
He never won a state champion.
And it's lots of times you get into an unfortunate matchup situation with an outstanding wrestler, and you're outstanding as well, but you can't beat him. And the same is true even in team sports. That's why there's always controversy around seeding, in these tournaments. Even take the Dodgers this year in softball. The girls were seeded number 2, and they had to play, and everybody thought Valley should have been seeded number 3. And they ended up being seeded 7. And so the Dodgers had to play Valley in the first round of the state tournament. And Valley eventually wins the state championship, And the Dodgers got stuck playing them in the first round and got beat in a tough game, I think 3-1.
I was going to say that could have gone either way. They had and we talked about it before. They had that tough call to end the game. And
and the Dodgers, played Valley's in the state tournament as tough as anybody did, but Valley went on to win the state, and Fort Dodge played extremely well the next day and ended up getting 5th, I guess. But it's that who you get matched up with many times is just as important as anything else, because it's almost by the luck of the draw, or unfortunately bad luck, I guess, if you look at it that way. But that's just that's kind of how things work out, and sometimes you have to beat sometimes they'll say maybe the state championship game was played in the first round by two teams. I mean, who's to say the Dodgers weren't the second best team in the state? And they very well could have been, but had to play them in the first round of the state tournament. So that's just kind of how things work out.
Well, yeah, that's just a life experience that teaches you something is what happened there. It was a tough way to go for the Dodger girls, but they acquitted themselves well, and we can all be proud of them. For sure.
In some ways, what we're talking about is applicable to is college football is heating up right now, and I just read in the paper this morning about how UNI's got 4 quarterbacks competing for the quarterback job. You can only have one quarterback, and you got 4 that maybe are very close to being equal, and only one's going to get that position, and that's one of the hardest positions. And you see quarterbacks transferring all the time because of that, because you come in and if you're not the number one guy and the guy ahead of you, like at Iowa State now, you got Purdy there who's just a sophomore. Well, if you're a sophomore or a junior or maybe even a freshman right behind him, do you want to sit and wait 2 or 3 more years before you get playing time? Or and those are things that in other positions it's not quite as a thing. The defensive backs, there's 4. There's 2 cornerbacks, 2 safeties, etc. Same with linebackers, but there's only one quarterback. And you always wonder about those guys that come in and it's amazing how often the success, for example, Iowa State's had in recruiting other quarterbacks. I mean, if I was a high school kid, I'm going, geez, you got Purdy there. Why do I want to go to Iowa State right now? Because I may have to sit for 2 or 3 years. But to Campbell's credit, he seems to continue to bring these quarterbacks in. He's got, I think, 3 or 4 of them that are underclassmen, including a transfer that transferred to Iowa State from, I can't remember where he came from, but a respected school, So they've got some obvious depth at quarterback there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Campbell, we thought he'd be a good college coach, but I think he's really proving his worth. I think he's going to be a great college coach, or a great coach, whatever he decides to do.
He's came in, took over a program that was struggling when, and he's had 2 8-win seasons now, and really what he's got coming back this year, I've never seen my Cyclone fan friends so excited for this coming football season, and rightly so. It always starts with a great quarterback. When you got a great quarterback, your hopes go way up, but they've got a defense now that might end up being the best defense in the Big 12, and and that's amazing. And then you got a good young quarterback there, and an offensive line now that they finally got as an experienced offensive line behind a good in front of a good quarterback. They've got a stable of running backs, and I was reading in the paper this morning about how these freshmen that they have are impressing in practice. So he's really building a program there at Iowa State. This could be the big year that everybody's been waiting for many, many years with the Cyclones. But you just never know, because football, you get a couple guys injured, a couple key guys go down, and all of a sudden things can change in a hurry. But
it can.
But boy, they had 4 preseason first team all Big 12 picks on defense, which no other team obviously in the Big 12 had. I mean that's saying something.
That is saying something.
And they've got the Haycock, the defensive coordinator at Iowa State, is recognized nationally as one of the top defensive coordinators in the country. As he shut down some pretty potent offenses in the last couple of years at Iowa State. He's a very innovative coach. He went with that kind of a 3-3-3-2 defense that he's blitzing linebackers, he's blitzing safeties and cornerbacks, and really has the offense totally confused. And that's all on that defensive coordinator, man. They, I remember, was it last year? I think West Virginia came in with that. Was it last year or the year before? They came in with the Will Greer as the quarterback, and they were scoring 45 points a game, and I think Iowa State held them to like 7 or something.
Yeah.
Just totally humiliated with West Virginia in that game, and so they could end up being, and you know, with playing Texas at home this year, that's the game they could win. You know, you beat Texas.
They could win. They could beat Texas.
And
Texas has been having a tough time with Iowa State the last few years.
Yeah,
I was at a game, and I'm of course, it's one of the 2 times I completely lost it. Paul Rhodes was still down at Iowa State, and they played Texas in a nighttime game, and the officials blew a couple of calls.
Yeah.
Cost Iowa State the game, and Rhodes in a post-game press conference really lit into him. But that's the way it is, you know. That's the way it goes. It was in the win. I think they suspended those officials afterward, but I was in the stands and they showed the replay, and I went, wow. You know, because I still wanted Iowa State to beat Texas, but yeah, the first game,
Rhodes beat Texas early in his career at Iowa State, if I remember right.
That could very well be true.
But Texas was loaded. I understand they've had a couple of really outstanding recruiting classes under Tom Herman down there in Austin, and they've got Texas has a really good quarterback coming back as well, and it'll be interesting to see how good Oklahoma is. You know, losing Kyler Murray, and in Oklahoma, you know, they'll say they reload, but still. They're going to have the Alabama quarterback transfer in. You know, Jalen Hurts is going to be their quarterback, and that'll be interesting to see how that works out. You know, is Hurts that good, or was he just good because he was at Alabama? You know, and so there'll be some interesting storylines in college football this year.
Well, we'll find out if Murray's any good too. There's some argument could have been made about Murray. Of course, you know, the sports writers were making up a bunch of nonsense. Is Murray too short to play? Remind me of Brian Bagala, big offensive tackle for Iowa a few years ago. He's been up in Green Bay for years. Guys,
Balaga,
Balaga,
yeah.
What did I say?
Brian
Bagala.
Balaga,
I said that wrong. I'm sorry.
Balaga, yeah.
Balaga, yeah.